One day, the kingdom of the peaceful mushroom people was invaded by the Koopa, a tribe of turtles famous for their black magic. The quiet, peace-loving mushroom people were turned into mere stones, bricks, and even field horsehair plants, and the mushroom kingdom fell to ruin. The only one who can undo the magic spell on the mushroom people and return them to their normal selves is Princess Toadstool, the daughter of the Mushroom King. Unfortunately, she is presently in the hands of the great Koopa Turtle King. Way catchier than Bowzer, stick with that. Mario, the hero of the story, maybe, hears about the Mushroom People's plight, and he sets out on a quest to free the Mushroom Princess from the evil Koopa and restore the fallen kingdom of the Mushroom People. You are Mario. It's up to you to save the Mushroom People from the black magic of the Koopa. Also Luigi. So in this game we play as the Mario brothers, Mario and Luigi. We don't know anything about them except that they are here to liberate the kingdom from Bowzer and save Peach. They are very fast and agile and do sweep dive kicks to take out their enemies. And they have two special powers, one that you always have and one that you sometimes have. So one of your buttons is your special button. When you press it, it makes you run really fast. And if you have your powers lined up right, you can also use it to shoot fire. The fire shooting is really critical. You want to never, not have that available to you. And this is absolutely a game about agility. So you always want to be like on the move. Like avoidance is usually your best principle. You never want to take a hit. Mario's HP pool is terrible. You can take almost no damage before you die. So don't get tangled up in melee with anyone. You will not like how it works out. Yeah, and the basic objective of the game is to go through 7 castles and get to the 8th castle. The castles get increasingly more well defended and complicated as we go. They get stronger and stronger enemies protecting them that will act mostly as our boss fights in this game. And the last thing is the game is like riddled with secrets, but they don't help you as much as you might expect. There's pickups that you can get that'll give you extra lives. There's coins, of course, and don't get me wrong, you want those. You want to get every single one of them. If you've never played Mario 1987, you need them coins. This is you're used to them being kind of a nothing thing in Mario because you're used to Mario games being much easier. But this is like an execution game above anything. If you started the game with unlimited lives, it would be no guarantee that you would beat the game. So it is an execution-focused game above all. There is no enemy in the game that is so unfair that you can't beat them on your first try through. There's no like death traps or things that there's a couple of puzzles in the castles that are a little bit unknowable. The last castle in particular has a really messed up trick that you're likely to die to time a couple of times before you actually figure it out, which is pretty messed up. That's some bad design. But for the most part, everything you encounter in this game is something that you can handle the first time through, provided you could execute all of the movement and stuff. But there's no tricks is my point. It's a pretty honest game. And your only buttons are move, jump, and special. But I'm excited to take you through it, so let's hit play. So I'm no genius at breaking down the elements of stories. Naturally, I'm not going to blow your mind here. Nothing I have to say here is revolutionary, and nothing I have to say here is unprecedented. It's just something that I think is interesting and is kind of underserved in discourse right now. But we're not quite there yet. That's where this video went, but it wasn't the premise. What this video was to be, in essence, is a play-along, a sort of recreation of what it's like for me specifically to play the game Mario 1987. Not because I have something amazing to say about it or that it's a perspective that the world needs, and just for the mundane enjoyment of seeing the way another person perceives something very simple. It's like sharing answers to an inkblot test. An inkblot test that looks like Mario 1987. It's really hard to express what it is like to experience something, even something as experiential as a game. Just sort of playing it and me talking to you doesn't really cut it. It's a different type of entertainment and it's valid, but it's not really what I'm trying to do here. What I really want to do is just kind of bring you in the saddle with me so you can sort of see what world I paint on top of this world. But I can't express that cleanly just through words. I'm not a good enough orator or a good enough writer to bring all of that across just by talk. So I want to combine these elements with my best tool, which is representational digital art. And to be super clear, I'm not trying to imply that I need all of these skills because my imagination is so mighty and vibrant that it needs 3 disciplines to contain them. It's just a hard concept is all. So this guy's like one of the first dudes you have to fight in the game. He's not very fast, luckily. He just kind of, you know, he comes at you pretty much like linear. So you can honestly, you can clear him, like he doesn't even turn around. You can clear him and just keep going throughout the level, or you can jump on him, you'll kill him. But if you fight him head on, he will kill you every time. Mario is not a boxer. He's got to strike from on high. I feel like it's perfect that they're the first enemy, since they're like the traitor mushrooms. It's like you betray your kingdom to like this outsider king. You did it, good job, but like everybody still knows you're a traitor, so you're gonna get the worst job. You're gonna live on the outskirts. You're gonna be like the first person to feel it if, say, 2 plumbers came to beat up your king. The turtles obviously believe their turtle culture is better than yours, which is why they took your kingdom over. So they're just for sure not gonna have any respect for the way you live your life, your mushroom practices, your spore-based religion, I'm guessing. Anyway, we can jump over a Goomba or we can fight him, and we could probably do it for like a ton of them. But eventually enough Goombas and the Mario brothers are screwed anyway, so it's time to go underground. The next fight's in the Goomba underground, and it's a little bit trickier. The environment is not good for Mario. He has a really mobile kind of dive kick style, play style, but he has got a sweet projectile, which is actually pretty good in this narrow area. If you can't get the projectile off reliably for whatever reason, you gotta just wait it out, because, you cannot go toe-to-toe with these Goombas. They will lay you out. Not only are they, like, physically tuned to forward confrontation, they could not be more at home underground. It makes me wonder if there are, like, underground Goomba settlements. I know not all mushrooms grow underground, but, like, clearly they're happy to be down here. Seems like a lot of, like, temperate, wet environments. I don't know, it just seems like a perfect, place in this kingdom for them to live. And maybe that is the difference between them and the above ground mushrooms. Maybe we consider them kind of turncoats because they didn't care that the above ground mushrooms were getting turned into horsehair plants and trees and stuff. Either way, we're done with this guy and we're out into the hills. So we have these really high, sort of topped rocky plateaus that we have to maneuver across. And it's honestly not that bad. They're pretty wide, and the scenery is beautiful up here. But we also make contact with some Koopa scouts. Maybe this is what they meant by black magic. Like, giving a turtle wings is like a defiance of their very nature. So this is the type of dark magic that the turtle tribe does. So these abominable turtles roll in and take swipes at you. They kind of run back and forth, play it real cagey. But honestly, it's best not to tangle with them in their own environment. Just get up, get around, try not to get in a fist fight with any of them if you can help it. There was bound to be Koopas out here anyway. Just for the Goombas, just so they know the Koopa clan's out here. Remember whose flags are up on the walls. Well, regardless, some of the scouts are going to get away, so let's just deal with the local warlord and we'll go from there. How loyal must a Goomba be to sit in one of Bowser's castles, wear his armor, sit behind his heraldry? However things are going for the Goombas in general, it's going good for this guy in particular. He just stone cold camps on this bridge, and you have got to get past him. He is not fireproof, but it takes a bunch of hits to kill him. The easiest way is to kind of go over him, because he's not super agile. But as always, don't get in a fist fight with him. He will tear you up. He can even kind of shoot fire, which must have been some kind of gift. Right? Like, we know the Koopas use their magic of transfiguration to give wings to their scouts, so why not the gift of fire to this mushroom? Truly, truly evil magic by mushroom standards. Like, imagine a human wizard with the power of mustard gas. Like, that's the equivalent morally. And being a mushroom himself, I bet he is, like, permanently messed up from using fire magic. And that might be hinted at in the gameplay. As a fun Easter egg, if you shoot him with fire, if you kill him with fire specifically, his armor falls off and you can see him armorless for a second, so that's cool. Either way, once we're done with him, we're out the back of the castle and some very unstable ground awaits us. What we call retro games traditionally, which is usually people mean old console games. This usually broadly includes arcade games. They tend to be pretty minimal in plot. Unambitious, simple. It's a lot like children's entertainment in a way. They're basic rules to kind of structure play, enough to give the player the idea of what's happening and why, just so they have some context for their objective. That's a fair brush to paint with. I think we can acknowledge that all of that is true, while still appreciating that we can kind of enjoy those games and their lack of plot on our own terms. The same way we make good memories about games. Usually the games we remember well, it's because of the experiences around them, not the individual experience of playing the games. That is especially true for retro games, where the experience of playing the game is pretty minimal. They're big, wide open chasms for you to pour whatever childhood emotion you want in every aspect of them, all the glowing memories of like weekends spent with your cousins, or playing video games with your brother or your sisters or your family, or holding the controller while your parent played a video game. But that's the point. We do that. We, you and me. Mario didn't really have that much to do with it. As adults, when we encounter simple plots, it's our instinct to keep our engagement simple as well. It's a natural instinct. You see something and you kind of get the lay of the land immediately, and you're like, yeah, I've engaged with this before, I'm fine, I don't need to eat this. It's completely logical. We only have so much time in the day. We're seeking new and novel experiences. We want to engage with things that might maybe connect with us in a more meaningful way, and if you just see on the surface level that that's not likely, it's not weird to tune out a little bit. Obviously, you will miss out on things here and there, but if it's worth it, somebody will probably recommend it to you. It's fine. It's okay to have standards. You're not obligated to engage with every single piece of art on its own terms. Who would even have the time? It's nighttime when we get out of the tunnel. The landscape out here is more of these sort of rocky plateaus, and they go all hither and thither. It's hard to know which way to go in the dark. And this is where you fight the flying green Koopa. This guy plays way more aggressive, and he'll tend to fight over grass a little bit more as well. So when you get him, he will often get another crack at you. Sometimes you bounce him and he turns right around and gets you with just sort of a hook to the jaw. He's not crazy fast, but you really gotta take his motion in mind. We try to make good calculated jumps and sort of trying to only fight him when we have to, and just get through this area. You can try to climb upward. I don't know if there's actually even a path that way. I've tried a little bit, and I've never been able to find a path there. So as far as I know, the only place you can go here is down and take a little night dive. So this part can be really easy or really hard depending on how well you can execute the fire move. If you can hit it really consistently, then Blooper's basically a joke. He's got almost nothing on you. He can be kind of relentless, but he's also, the way he moves is panic inducing a little. He's very good at boxing you in. It's so strange because he doesn't do a lot of dynamic movement per se, but it still bizarrely feels like he's the master of this environment. But yeah, just make sure you're on top of your fire move and he's not too dangerous. It's daytime by the time you clamber back out onto shore, and you're on this little island with a bridge keep on it. You can see the next fortress kind of looming in the distance under the dark kind of clouds out there if you have the camera at the right angle, but right now we're worried about the moat. So, Cheep Cheep might be the hardest fight in the game, hands down. This friggin' fish is so unpredictable, he's so quick, he's so fast, he lulls you into a rhythm. Let me explain. He basically just jumps out at you. It's just that. It's a whack-a-mole type game. You can bounce him every time, but he is quick. He's one of the fastest moving things in the game, and you kind of don't know, unless you're very, very, very good at this game, instantly what his trajectory and distance and speed is going to be, so it's really easy to miscalculate. Probably a lot of controllers broken right here. So what happens here is the bridge for the moat becomes more and more rickety and lacking, and we're in this sort of saltwater swamp. But, we were on our way to the sunken castle anyway. Alright, so this guy is a blooper that has been promoted. By Turtle Magic, he is up on a bridge and out of water, and he wields Koopa hammers, a sort of signature weapon of the Koopa Elite. Much the same as his non-boss variant, he is not fireproof. You can still blam him just the same, and you can do the same Easter egg where if you kill him with fire, you'll see him with his armor off when he dies, which is cool. But just look out, those hammers are no joke. They are not fun to contend with. Just don't get overconfident against this guy. It's a very narrow bridge, and the last thing you want is to fall off and end up in the water with him, because then you're just giving up every advantage. So yeah, take him at the bridge, use your fire, don't get hammered. You have to wonder what sort of deal Bowzer struck with squids. Maybe they're like the Goombas. Maybe there was like some sort of cephalopod kingdom that Bowser conquered once before, and these guys were like the traders from that kingdom. Or maybe they're just from the Mushroom Kingdom and they don't care who's in charge. Maybe they're like a mercenary type force and this guy's just a mercenary commander. That kind of makes sense. That, like, why not pay a specialist to guard your swamp fortress? So let's take a minute and actually engage with this exercise as its intended exercise. If you're an adult and you want to pour a childlike level of imagination into something really broad just to see what you get, an arcade-style game is actually a phenomenal choice. A game like this, the plot is in the art, in the instruction manual, or the side of the arcade game, and that's basically all you get. This game isn't a larger abstraction of a more complex plot that you're meant to get an impressionistic view of. That's just press the buttons, loser, go right and jump. That's the whole thing. It's a pretty zen way to write a story, if you ask me. What's your plot, game? I don't know, fuck you, you come up with it. And if you can't, then why are you hassling me? I run smooth and look nice, that should be enough for you. But on the flip side, like, what is the plot? I don't know, it's like Bloodsport, but with mushroom people and turtles, and Mario has to lay out all of the different fighting turtles, and he eats the heads of mushroom people to steal their life and vitality, and goes SSJ Mario Luigi and banishes Bowser with like a flurry of key strikes. And then the game would be like, hey man, nobody's ever killed by a volley of key strikes. It always covers them in smoke, and they always smirk. It's completely unrealistic to put that in the game. And then I'd be like, okay, well, what if I stip that he has some sort of like unique fire volley, like the great ape form, you know? And the game would be like, okay, I can see that now. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Go right and jump. In all of fiction, I've never felt an experience that was more the raw essence of coming at you than dealing with Hammer Brothers. They're just stress incarnate, and you should take them absolutely seriously. These guys are so much deadlier than almost anything else in this game, less maybe the Cheep on the bridge. They are very fast. They have one of Bowser's dark gifts of turtle jumping, which other than them is only seen in like generals, like people who actually boss up in Bowser's armor. There's also kind of a horror to them using hammers. To me, it tells me that these turtles have warred amongst their own quite a lot. You wouldn't use a hammer to conquer mushroom people, or like squid people, or most people that don't have hard shells. To me, that is clear anthropological evidence that the first people these turtles conquered was each other. These guys must be either, you know, Bowser's red right hand, or maybe some sort of Praetorian society that exists within Bowser's regime. But regardless, we're in Koopa territory proper now, so it makes sense that the local commander would have some of these guys available. And the Flying Koopas would have given him plenty of warning anyway. We're on like proper Koopa turf now. This was probably one of the nicer parts of the Mushroom Kingdom to like live in. We're sort of a moderate distance from the outskirts and the capital. So once all the people are turned into plants and stuff, this is like prime real estate. I'm willing to bet a lot of the nicest places in this area were gifted to Koopas that performed whatever the evil turtle equivalent of outstanding duty is. But it's also where you're going to find your meat and potatoes Koopas. We know that they migrate, and we know that they are a warrior culture, on top of just being big-ass turtles. So any one of them in their prime can make you endangered. And this is the same generation of warriors sitting here on this land who conquered it. It's the same Bowser, it's the same Peach, it's the same Mario since this happened. We're within one generation. These guys are thieves and killers sitting here waiting for something new to thieve and kill. But the area is sparse and Mario's really fast, so we're on to the path of mushrooms. I don't know if the differences between like the green and red-shelled Koopas are like physiological or cultural or what. The thing that makes sense to me, I think red is just like not the favored color of Bowser. I think he's all about that green, and red is like kind of their secondary color. I think like recruits, like less trained soldiers or like undisciplined, you know, turtles. I think in like a fair world, everybody would start as a red shell turtle and then get promoted in into green shell for like good duty, but it's way more likely that they're given out semi-arbitrarily, and like green shells are often given to people who don't deserve it, and red shells are given to people just because they're not well liked. And it's just like, I don't see people who use like subservience and black magic as the type of people who are, you know, trying to get the best out of every recruit, you know what I mean? So they probably use red shell guys as like guards and scouts. But he's not really here to stop us. He's here to just sort of provide light resistance and herd us into the castle so we can have our confrontation with the Koopa captain. So the captain has his area laid out kind of like a challenge circle. He's here to fight you, and he's here to be seen fighting you. Like most of the promoted positions in Bowser's army, he's got the power of fire. He is a tough nut to crack. It takes a lot of fireballs to kill him back, but he's not immune. But what you really want to do here is you want to try to clown on him, right? Like, he's here to show off. That's the whole point. It's not just to beat you. He's confident that that's going to happen anyway. You're on your way to fight Bowser, so necessarily you must be on your way to your doom. If that wasn't true, he wouldn't fight you because he would know you're strong enough to kill Bowser. So in his mind, you're going to get got one way or the other, and he wants to be the one to do it. He wants the accolade, he wants the honors, he wants you to defeat as many people as possible on the way to him so that his victory is all the more stunning. So really make an ass out of him. Dance around, laugh off his attacks, just kind of style on him if you can. Hit him with 9 fireballs and hold on to the last one, talk some trash. If you're under the gun and you have to just beat him and go, like, that's fine, but you do what you can. You can apply this type of exercise to almost any game. It works as well in Mario as it does in Skyrim. Either one of those activities would be equally fun, valuable stretches of the imagination. It's not because Mario and Skyrim have equivalent plots. They do, but it's because the only thing that really matters for this exercise is just giving the game back way more than it gives us, which is impossible not to do. So what's the point of all this? What's the end game? What do you get? What are you working out in this exercise? Well, the short version is it's your imagination, really. Like, in drawing this, in putting all of this work together and thinking about the things that I would need to do to communicate to you the experience of making this, I had to spend a lot of time chewing on the subject of retro games, the subject of Mario, the subject of the vagueness of plots, and the ease with which we can fill them with different bric-a-brac from our own brains. That's just all part of the experience, baby. You get a series of images and a bunch of unresolved feelings about the state of arts in the world, and the lingering fear that if we don't encourage each other to use our imaginations more, read between the lines, and seek more emotionally complex stories, that we might all die of stupidity. It's all part of the same process. That's all part of the ride, baby. But that's partly the point. That's a good thing, I think. All that extra stuff that you sort of chew on along the way, that's the value in doing something like this. But just the broad task of working out your feelings on a subject, you're gonna learn a lot about the way you feel about things, even things that are only tacitly involved in that subject. And that's good. That means your hands are in the clay, your imagination's working. It's creeping its hands into the topic like a little octopus and feeling around and shaping things and trying to measure what it's feeling against what it knows to be real. And it only gets better and faster at it the more that you engage it, because that's the essence of what your imagination does. It tests ideas against reality. You look at something and say, okay, what if I added this in? What happens? Your mind has to feel around and try to apply what rules of reality it understands to the subject and see what you get. That task in and of itself is super cool and worth engaging in 100%. I don't need a second thing for that to be worth doing, but there is a second thing, and it's really, really important to me, because imagination and understanding can kind of go hand in hand. The more you understand, the broader your ability to test ideas against reality, the better you will be at communicating your present reality and understanding it and knowing the greater implications of the things happening around you. It gives you the critical skill to make those links between events. More specific to our topic today, it helps you understand the things happening, the subtext happening within stories. Because if you can't see subtext, or you can't see the implied or the thematic or the broad or the minute, if you're not tuned in to pick up, to grasp these little things as they're strewn about the plot, then plots will look very simple to you. They will look very dull, they will look very empty, and as a result, you won't feel that they are worth the effort to analyze any deeper. And that right there, in my opinion, is the very bitter root of people who just wander around saying dumb crap like, oh, you know, there's no new art, people are just really telling the same stories like in different ways over and over. Don't talk to those people. Send them out to sea. We don't need them in our society. The type of people who are incapable of seeing iteration as art are the type of people who want like one perfect missing link skeleton between ape and man buried between two of them with like today's newspaper. They don't matter and no one should take them seriously is my point. Back out in the blue sky and raring to go. We're deep in turtle territory now, and the mountains are looming. Alright, so your first time experiencing this is always going to be bananas. This guy swoops in on you, the Lakitu. He swoops in on you from the side, and he just starts throwing these, like, throws a red ball in the air. And you're like, okay, obviously it's bad, I'm not going to touch it, and you kind of go to move away. But out of that egg comes a meaty turtle with knives. But we'll get to him in a moment. So you're running around frantic, you're trying to get away from this knife turtle, and you're like, I gotta get this guy out of the clouds. He's raining BS on me. I'm gonna die down here. You feel trapped, you feel kind of powerless. He swoops back and forth. He's so fast on that cloud. You only get a couple of opportunities where there's something you can clamber on high enough that if you're quick, you can catch him off guard and kick him in the face. But gains are only temporary. You can knock his ass down, but he'll scoop his cloud back up and come after you again. You just have to keep hustling and get any advantage on him you can. Meanwhile, this monster is all over the place. He seems meaty, he seems slow, doesn't seem like it's really going to be that big of a deal at first. He is armed and dangerous, so you cannot dive kick him. But whatever, skip him over, keep moving, right? And then that cloak drops on the ground, and there he is in front of you like friggin' Batman. Turn around, try to get yourself some space, move the other direction, bam, there he is. You spot something you can hide under. Maybe he won't be able to drop in on my head from there. You think maybe I'll be safe for a second, but it's already too late. He's at both entrances, and you're already dead. He closes in on you, and all you can feel is how inevitable this was as his knives come in on you. Do not take Spiny lightly. Get your fire move down. You need to be able to hit it like a metronome by this point. Even with that, you gotta stay fast. You gotta knock Lakitu out of the sky because he will bring this guy back. He will res him every time, and do everything you can not to double back. Any inch of ground you let them catch on you, they will slowly tighten the noose. You cross as much ground as you can, and you dive into the first cave you can get in. At the very least, Lakitu can't chase you, and Spiny won't go far from his boss. So the cave we dive into quickly merges into a bigger cave system. The Goomba in the earlier underground level has a little bit of dialogue on this, but I don't know how to trigger it. Anyway, point is, we're back in the hallways, and this is where we fight Buzzy Beetle, which is one of my favorite fights in the game. He's actually a really cool enemy. So you can use fire on almost everything in this game, and it as long as you've got, you know, the fire move down and you've got the special meter for it, it's really easy to deal with like most enemies head on. It's just a matter of like balancing, you know, moving through the game quickly with how much you want to stop and shoot fire. But Buzzy don't play that. You have to dive kick him. It's the only way to knock him. And then you put him in these like kind of hallway areas too. So you do have to kind of show some restraint here and there. There are spots where he'll try to kind of bait you in with some like a dead end, or like there'll be, you know, potentially some treasure, and if you kind of get in there, you're stuck between Buzzy Beetle and a pipe. I think these guys are probably like a clan, like a sub-clan within the Koopa clan. Like your red and green Koopas would be from like your largest group of turtles. And then you have like a subculture or a sub-clan that's like the Buzzy Beetles, who clearly have their own style of dress and way of fighting. They might just be a different like militant regiment. Like they may just be organized this way by the army that they're a part of. But I don't think that scans for like the Koopa clan. I don't think they're in like they have like tight military logistics, but they're perfect for operating in a fiery environment, which is good because there seems to be open flames further on in this cavern. So I see Potaboo as more of like a spectacle fight. It's really more about the scenery and like watching him blast out of the the fire and stuff. He's pretty easy to avoid. His timing can be a little bit tricky and like mischievous, but just stay focused on the sort of pits and platforms and you'll be okay. When he bounces out, sometimes you'll have to correct midair, but like usually if you've miscalculated it, you'll know it, and then whatever, you get to see the death scene anyway. I've never really known what to make of the Podoboo. That it has a name and a clear agenda is just real interesting and surreal, but I like that his description contains pro-Bowser propaganda. He is here to protect the great sorcerer Koopa King. Whatever's shaken down in the kingdom, you better believe that Podoboo is using the full title. It leads me to believe that he's like some kind of homunculus or something, some kind of like fire familiar that Bowser has conjured up to do this duty. Like clearly he can move from fire pit to fire pit, so maybe he is just straight up Bowser's fireball lackey. Maybe Bowser's fireball is so good that it has a life of itself and can like fire dive from pit to pit, which not only allows Bowser to keep an iron fist on every castle connected because they all have fire features, and Podoboo will always be able to report back what he's seen to Bowser. Some pretty sick Dark Turtle magic. So the underground castle area accumulates with this boss fight with the Buzzy Beetle commander. I do wonder what this guy's rank is, like in the Buzzy Beetle troops or culture or whatever it happens to be, because he's clearly accepted Bowser's gift of fire, which seems to sort of mark people as one of Bowser's chosen. But there is a cost to that. He is allied with Bowser, he has Bowser's fire, but he himself is no longer fireproof. He had to give something of himself up to get closer to power. Maybe the Buzzies just don't care, like maybe you don't have to wear their sick beetle armor to still be part of their, sick beetle Buzzy culture. And again, you should be pretty used to the rhythm of the fights by now, so he shouldn't give you too much trouble. Remember, he is not fireproof, so you can use your fireballs on him, even if he's using his on you, and move to the other side of the lava when you can. He's not super agile, so again, not fireproof, so he has to move around it. And once you're past that strong point, there's a little bit more cave to go, but we're on our way to the surface. Alright, let's talk about plot points. This is going to seem overly simplistic, and if you're a writer, sorry for all this, but I'm here with the unenviable task of explaining subtext in a way that you could understand if you didn't know what subtext was. That's my goal here. You can tell me if I succeeded. So, imagine any story you've ever read as a big blank wall, and every fact you have is a little push pin on the wall. Like those big conspiracy boards that you see. Everything you know about the plot, in a line, all the different things, all the different people, whatever, they're all a push pin. These are facts. These are places where the story is nailed down, and basically any reading of the story needs to agree on them. You could maybe misinterpret them, but you have to at least acknowledge that they are a part of the story. And you can link all of those where they're mentioned, with where they appear, or their location. You can take yarn or string or whatever and make a big spider web of how everything is connected. Take a step back in your imagination and just look at that board, right? And it's going to look like a big messy web, probably. You don't have to do this with an actual story. Just imagine a hypothetical story where enough things happen for you to put a board up. So you have this big spider web of all of the things that are. Now, when you imagine the story, you have to fill in all of that. You have to turn that web into a place with people and events. You have to turn that world into a world recognizable enough for you to project onto it and understand the story at all. You're doing a lot of heavy lifting. And a lot of those details, those kind of soft edges, will differ. Famously, everybody reads the same book. We're all going to probably picture the house a little differently, or we might picture the way one character looks very differently. These soft elements, anything that isn't clearly described, we're going to kind of plaster over a little bit. And of course you understand this. Everybody understands this. I'm just building a foundation for something bigger. Well, if you picture your wall, you can see literal spots. Just visualize it. You can see actual literal sort of gaps in the strings. And if you take a step closer, you're always going to find that things probably kind of fit there. If you have a square between a couple of characters where there's a bunch of strings like wrapped around and around and around and around, but nothing goes through, you've kind of stumbled on something. There might be a subtext there. You may have found something about the story. Why does characters, A, B, C, and D have all of these connections going in a circle but never diagonally across these two? maybe you have found something. That is a place you can investigate the story and maybe see something that the author did or did not intend to put there. So that's an easy one, right? We know, of course, that authors leave spaces like that. A plus something equals C is, good writing practice. You want people to come to conclusions. It's like a puzzle. It's very satisfying to find that little open space and figure out what's supposed to go there, or at the very least something that fits there. And if the author intended it, all the better. Now, as an author, you can hide elements, themes, characters, places, events, anywhere you want off of the board. Anywhere that isn't connected to a pin. If you have an idea of something that goes there, you can mentally put it there. Whether other people ever find out about it has more to do with your writing. The stronger you suggest something is there, the kind of closer it is to the facts of the story, closer to the center of this spider web, the more likely somebody is to spot it. The further you put it away, the more specific the person engaging with it needs to really understand how you imagined it. The more your imaginations need to be running very, very, very in parallel. If you have an idea and you cast it very far away from your net, only a very select few people will find it. It's not because those people are smarter or anything, or they're better at media or whatever the hell. It's just that they have a sort of parallel way of thinking, or maybe cultural touchstones, or just a number of things could be the things that contribute to this same type of thinking that causes your imaginations to go to the same place and come to the same conclusion. And that is like solving a really, really hard puzzle. It feels great, and it's a very low stakes game. Anywhere in the story, you can just make a supposition. What if X were Y? And then you look at the elements of the story and try to just imagine it up. Get the octopus in there. Feel around. Does this feel true? Does all of this connect? Does all of this check out under scrutiny? And if it does, you kind of got a little puzzle piece you can put there. It might not be the only puzzle piece, and it might not be quote unquote the correct one, but who cares? The only person with the correct puzzle piece is the person who made it and people who think exactly like that person. Yours will always be skewed. And the more vague the concept is, the more vague the media, the more skewed it will be, and the more improper it would be for anyone to tell you that there is a correct interpretation. All they could really do is contend with, does this fit between the push pins? If we look at the spider web, can we take this, place it in there anywhere, and do all of the connections make sense? And if they do, maybe it's true. It's not contradicted by the story. You could even go really big with it. Maybe Mario takes place on a poster and that's why it's flat. Who knows? Who cares? You can believe or not believe that, and it doesn't affect the plot. Anything that far away from established canon could be true or false because there are no bigger implication. I don't care if that's true because my story can exist inside it instead of having to sit beside it. It's harmony. It's fine. The more active your imagination and the more free reign you give it, the kind of further from these plot points you can roam if you want to. It's just the further you get away from things, the more hypothetical they become, the more untestable, the more unprovable, and generally for that reason, like, a little bit less fun to engage with. If you want to suppose some insane thing far away from the main plot of the game, it absolutely could be true, but there's no game in testing it against the reality of the media itself. I don't know what's happening on the other side of the planet in Mario. No information. It's basically unfalsifiable. It's like a game of Clue where you just take half the cards out. There's no point in playing because there's no way to know ever who actually did it. It's not to say you can't do that if you want to, but if you do that, just know when you talk to other people about it, it's super boring. It's not interesting at all. I'm sorry if that's a hard pill to swallow. If people are engaging with you and being polite about it, it means that they like you enough to do that, but please lay off them. Keep your fan theories as close to canon as possible. Before you're out of the cave, you have to deal with the infamous plant fight. So there's these huge, planters, these pots of dirt that are all around in the Mushroom Kingdom. We've actually been seeing them all over the place. They just look like pipes. It's kind of like a pipe mimic, but so some of them are pipes and some of them are flower pots. And in them, the Mushroom Kingdom people grow these insane, man-eating, fire-breathing plants. Because mushrooms aren't people, and they don't get eaten by plants. Not these plants, anyway. Unfortunately for them, turtles also do not get eaten by man-eating plants. The mushroom people must have had some way of, feeding them safely and living in this kind of safety symbiosis with them. The turtles do not have that, so they have gone absolutely buck wild crazy. These days they call them piranha plants. They come up and down really quickly, they're very sudden, but they also have kind of like a low cunning, like they try to deny you opportunities to catch them, so they stay low if they feel like you're nearby. You can beat them with fire, which is ideal because you don't want a physical confrontation with these guys. If they land one grab on you, it's basically just a death sequence. You can put your controller down and watch it. But you can also stealth around them. I think most people know this. It's not a secret. So sneak up next to their pipe, and then when you jump over, they won't be alerted, and they'll stay down, and you can kind of move on to the next pipe. It's kind of primitive, but it's a pretty old game, so it's a good basic stealth idea. You can take out the enemy safely from far away, or you can hide and sneak around them. You just can't have a physical confrontation. Like, all the elements are there. But I think most people just remember this section as being like, we've been underground for so long, I cannot wait to get back, because you know that the next part is going to be back out into the open sky. Alright, so the Bullet Bill gang are obviously the strangest turtles. They sort of swim through the air head first. I'm not trying to be coy, I know that they're bullet-shaped, but they don't move bullet speed. They move, like, slower than someone running. Even their description says slowly but steadily. Now, as a fight, it's really not that bad. It's exactly what every fight like this is in every video game forever. There's the big guy that charges at you, you jump over him, and you hit him from behind or on top of his head. That's basically it. You can actually just keep dodging him on this one too. Unlike most fights like that, he doesn't hit walls, like you don't have to get him to bump into anything in particular. Now, the areas you have to fight him in are really linear, so it's a good space for him. Like, you have to kind of judge the distance on your jumps a little bit, but like the perspective of the game makes that pretty easy, so it's not even that bad. Just don't let him stress you out. It's a lot like fighting the Hammer Brothers. Like, if you let it get in your head, it'll make you a little bit crazy. You can also do a little bit of stealth here. These cannons won't shoot Bill if you're right next to them. Like, they can't see you, so they can't shoot him at you. And like, avoidance is always a good strategy, but with like this guy in particular, like, don't even worry about trying to get the W on him. There's no reward for doing it. Just get through. The point of him is to chase you around and stress you out, so if you let him do that, he wins, even if you do get a bop on him in the end. And you're closing in on the castle, and everybody knows it. That's why these guys are out here. They are buying time. So we climb out of the Bill arena, we're totally worn down from just being like non-stop on dodge mode, and we clamber up to the first courtyard. So this part of the game is basically just a brutal boss rush. We see a bunch of elite forms of enemies that we've seen earlier in the game, and they all have a few new moves and abilities that we have to contend with, and the first one is the Spiny. It's actually kind of a cool entrance. He sort of drops into the courtyard. Very classic kind of dramatic video game thing to do. Anyway, so Boss Spiny is solo, so he can't like phase around the way he can when you fight regular Spiny in the wild, but he can still jump like crazy. And he's one of the few bosses that, instead of having the fire blessing from Bowzer, he's got like the throwing weapons upgrade. Like, sometimes they throw hammers, or in his case, knives. Anyway, so you still can't jump on him, because he'll still just trash you if you try to get the dive kick. Like, he'll just kick your ass in melee. So you gotta dodge around his projectiles, and you can shoot him down. He is still not fireproof, but he's way more fire resistant, so you're gonna have to really hit that move like a jackhammer. You can also clear him if you want to. You can trigger the next area while he's still alive, but I don't recommend it, because the next part, you basically get right through that gateway, and then you're like, oh good, a nice repeat. Nope, it's another boss. It is Boss Lakitu, here to kick your ass. It's almost like a trap. Like, Boss Spiny is actually kind of tough. You are bound to wonder, like, maybe I can just kind of mosey past him. But yeah, the gate doesn't close behind him. He will just fight you from behind, and you will have a double hard fight. Boss Lakitu is very different than the other bosses in the game. He has not Bowsered up, as it were. He has advanced whatever his own brand of turtle magic is. I'm suspicious at this point that he is the one who gives the other Koopas cloud wings. It doesn't seem like the type of power Bowzer himself gives away. Maybe we see Lakitu act as some sort of shamanistic advisor, even though Bowzer is a sorcerer himself, so I don't even know what the benefit of having a different magical advisor on board, but it may be likely that he wants to keep a small council of other kind of sorcerers in his crew. Maybe that explains why Peach is still alive. For the fight itself, he's going to try to knock you off this thin bridge area, and it's hard to see because of the cloud. That's basically the gimmick. He's moving around in it, and because it fogs everything up, you can't tell where the edge of the bridge is. So he tries to bait you and move you and get you to, roll off the ledge or whatever, or, jump off the edge. And if you brought Spiny in here with you, it's double trouble because he will not fall off the edge. He knows exactly better. So definitely fight, Spiny first, but when you're in here with him, just only take very safe hits on him and just make sure you've saved enough Fire Flower. So once you're through into that upper courtyard, this is where the Piranha boss is. And Piranha's like almost a cooldown. It's actually a really fun fight. It's a nice sort of stress relief in the middle of this crazy like boss rush. So the gimmick is it's this giant courtyard piranha plant, kind of like the big tree in Minas Tirith, but a man-eating plant because mushroom people are hardcore like that. But in lieu of having it removed, he sort of desecrated it. He gave it the mark of Bowzer, so it's got fire going on now too. So this plant in particular gets fed, and it sort of has the malicious magic of the Koopas on it. So it's up to you how you want to feel about using that as an antagonist, because the plant didn't really have any choice in the matter, but either way. He's not super mobile. You just move around, keep strafing, hit his weak points. It takes a number of fireballs to knock him out. His attacks are very flowy and consistent, and the dodge always is easy to do, but looks really cool when you do it. So it's a very satisfying fight. And when you beat him, you can go up to the stem, and there's a little like a mushroom you can eat off of it that heals you, so you can go into the next part kind of fully healed. So in almost all ways, this boss fight's like a little bit of a break. And from here, there's actually a crossroads. There's two directions you can go. There's an optional boss fight if you double back to the arena where you fought Lakitu if you want to. So the Cheeps fight is just kind of like a challenge fight if you really want to do it. I don't think you get anything for it other than just sort of the satisfaction in knowing that you did it. But it's not a super complicated fight. There's just a lot of execution. So he jumps in and out of the clouds like he has got the full-on cloud wings. I guess he's supposed to be like the Cheep that made it, or maybe he is just, as we know, the Cheep can grow wings. Maybe Lakitu cloud-winged up a Cheep. Maybe he was doing some magical experiments on the sly, or maybe not on the sly. Maybe just, hey, Bowzer, I'm going to experiment on these Cheeps with my cloud magic. And like, great, man, go nuts, evil wizards, high five. The gimmick is it still takes like 10 hits to kill him with a fireball, but you can get him in one hit if you jump on him, but his jump is like really crazy and unpredictable. I don't even think there's like an achievement for it or anything. I think they literally just, when they were designing the game, they made a boss version of each of the normal characters, but then there just wasn't room for that many bosses in the game, so they just put the extra one here. This complicated idea of sort of imagination battleship between creator and viewer is really hard to bring across in simple words. And there's a whole really interesting side conversation here about how writers and their audiences and their ideas sort of age over time and sometimes become inaccessible. Some of these distant spots off of the web are kind of only visible by people of the time. You can't really know them. You can't really see those same things or feel the same way about them. Even if you came to understand the context in great detail later, you wouldn't know what it would have been like to live those experiences. You can only suppose them and try to interpret them from the art that these people made in their lives. So I'm going to talk about something else instead. So since Mario 1987 only has about 20 facts to its name, almost everything but what we literally see take place on screen is basically hypothetical. I mean, even that, are we meant to see the game as an abstraction, a simplification of a story of more substance? Or is it actually in universe 2D? And what are the implications of the... It doesn't matter. The game doesn't care, and I think that's rad. I like the idea of a game where you can get in and write whatever plot I like. If other people played the game, they would have a completely different plot in mind, or no plot at all, because who cares? It's Mario 1987. But if I'm willing to do this whole thing, obviously I'm the one who cares. I'm not really sure why I care, or I should say I wasn't sure when I started the project. I knew I had a lot of happy memories with Mario. I have some childhood memories, not with this game specifically, but with Mario 3. And I played the game a couple of years ago, and it did have a big impact on me, but not really anything to do with its art. It was really more the totality of the experience. Of course, what I realized is the same thing we always realize at the end of the story, that the real treasure was the friends we made along the way. I loved the game because I had a really great experience playing with it with a good friend of mine. It was a huge personal triumph. I have so much positivity for that experience, but it could have been any video game. Mario didn't do shit for me. It is a good video game. Let me not bury that in the rest of this. Mario 1987 is a stone-cold banger. It's a really fun game. But that doesn't mean we owe it anything emotional. I don't owe that game the good time that I had with my friend. I knew what was buried in here was never going to be a deep love of Nintendo. That was not going to be what this video was going to be about. I didn't know that it was going to be about all this, but I knew for sure it wasn't going to be about that. But I had the energy, so off we went. I did the excavating, I dug the game up and all my feelings about it, and it scratched an itch. Some unresolved exploration of the plot and elements of Mario 1987 that I had some urge to complete. Like a quest in my logs, these games are. Something compels me to really ply my craft on them. This way I can better understand the subject and better understand myself for how I interact with that subject, which apparently ran deep enough for me to make this much effort, and now we both know that if I put this much effort into something that absolutely does not love me the way I love it, all I'm going to get is a realization about the state of our collective imaginations. It's so very important to me to encourage other people to deepen their understanding of stories, because it can help deepen your understanding of the world around you. I think there's this kind of like phantom barrier between people and looking at art through a deeper lens. It seems like people get the impression that to seek a better understanding of art is to like have to watch black and white films and like read The Grapes of Wrath and have like complicated opinions on System Shock 2. There's a perceived stuffiness to it, as well as some kind of feeling that to break something down for its flaws and merits is somehow disrespectful to it, or worse yet, to become media literate is to stop being able to enjoy things and be stuck complaining about their flaws. I think we need to dispel that. I think right now people need their imaginations to be strong and well-fed and just a robust system to test reality around them, because we live right now in an ocean of media trash. The rewards for barely trying are only marginally worse than the best effort most of the time. So there's no reason for somebody who only wants to see profit to make good art. So surprise, surprise, these things very rarely go hand in hand. And the only way to really change that paradigm is for us to spend more time valuing real effort. But it's a really hard thing to measure. I'm not sure anyone can do it with certainty, but you should always be on the lookout for it. Because where there is something genuine put forth, there is something you might connect with and have a real emotional reaction to. Some hit on the game of Battleship between creator and reader. Something special between the threads that was left for you to find, that is an experience that only you can have. Not just noise and color to drown out the waking world, but something might be evocative and inspire you that could have floated past you if you didn't stop to think about it. And you definitely won't have found if you are in the mindset that everything you see is going to be basically the same thing but shuffled around a little bit. And it makes it so when you see something that is genuinely the same thing shuffled around a little bit, you can tell the difference and not give those people your time, your energy, your love, and most importantly, your money. Low-effort art is an invasive species, and it needs to be kept in a containment center where it can be enjoyed and allowed to stay within reason and not take over our entire bookshelf. So there's like one final stretch of like upper mountain kind of inner mushroom kingdom here. And there's a type of enemy you can only see here and way earlier in the game as one of the bosses, and that's the gray Goomba. I have no idea what these guys' deals are. Obviously in the Outskirts fort, we saw one of them elevated, so we know that they can get promoted. They have some semblance of notice under Bowser's eye. What they do here and like why they live in this very inner area in a place that's specifically under gray skies with like red underlit clouds, I have actually no idea. It's a cool mystery. There's definitely like some fun discussions to be had about it. I don't know if anybody's ever made a video about it, but it is one of the really weird, surreal elements of this game that like right at the 11th hour, there's just this darkened level with red clouds and gray Goombas. But this one is like the last regular enemy you'll fight in the game, so in a way he is sort of special. He's like the boss, not a boss. You know what I mean? The boss of mooks, the final not special guy to represent all the not special guys that we didn't put in this part of the game. And I think he's just to give you something like meaty to punch on after doing the really, like, I don't know if technical's the right word, but very objective focused piranha plant fight. And you get into this guy and then he's a real meat and potatoes brawling, which is nice to have because the next fight is right inside the castle and it is a little more unorthodox. So once we get inside the castle, like, the whole area is wrecked up and filled with, like, lava and fire and all kinds of BS. Of course, we know Bowzer likes a little bit of fire in all of his forts. It's probably how he gets his Podoboo around. But this area, it's all used, the broken up ground is used as, like, platforms, the, like, loose platforms. So you have to kind of long jump from spot to spot while you fight the boss Bullet Bill. All the fun of fighting Bullet Bill, but he takes 10 times the damage. It is like kind of dynamic fight. It's fun because it is really mobile and you're kind like, he's not super hard to land on. The game has good controls. So you can get from spot to spot and get onto him because he moves really consistently. So really it's just a fight of figuring out the angle he's moving at and like where you can jump on him and still be able to bounce off onto another platform to safety. So it's not crazy hard, but it's a cool use of the environment, in my opinion. So we're almost here at the end of all things, and there's one more Koopa before we fight the king. Personally, I think this guy is kind of like the arch hammer bro. He would maybe be the head of their organization, or at the very least like a figurehead. Obviously, you would have the best trained guy in the business defend the king. Even though it's the job where you're least likely to be called on to do it, there is a great prestige in saying that you are the best hammer bro, which by default makes you the deadliest Koopa, Bowzer notwithstanding. And Bowser can make a career out of proving it to people to sort of remind others that he's untouchable. And of course for the Hammer Bros clan, that's a lot of easy prestige, access to power. They're always gonna live well while one of their guys guards the king. And true to his word, this guy's loyal to the end. Any fight against hammer throwing is very, very difficult. You just gotta remember all your Hammer Bros fundamentals, but just treat this guy like you are fighting two Hammer Bros combined into one, because that is exactly what the experience feels like. The arena's really cool too, because the area behind you is the Bullet Bill fight, so you're just coming from this like kind of fiery pit, and then ahead of you across his bridge you can see that there's another area like dense with red, but you're just fighting him on this kind of wide stone. There's like kind of lava underneath, there's a little bit of underlighting, but it's this spot of mundaneness that he sort of sits in that is cool. The area behind him and ahead of him is magic and crazy and wild, but the challenge that he presents is a turtle with two hammers, and the area he is in reflects that. Just play good, no gimmick. There is an enemy not yet defeated. You'll remember someone who we had a bit of a skirmish with, but was really in no danger of being killed by us. Indeed, we could not. That's right, it's round 2 with Podoboo. But now we're here in Bowzer's castle. He has had all this time to steep this place in his power and fortify it for his minions, including the Podoboo. So before you can get to the Sorcerer King himself, this bandy-legged little shit just steps up out of the lava to absolutely put you in the dirt. This is like a classic video game. The hardest boss is not the last boss. Like, this guy is way tougher than Bowzer. He's really fast, he's really dynamic, he can bounce really high, and again, you can't kill him with fire, it's not an option. Actually, like, contending with this dude is really, really hard, because you're not actually supposed to kill him. Again, he is sort of Bowzer's familiar. He's made of fire. He won't die in this fight no matter what you do. But what you do have to do is maneuver through his arena. So it is, again, a kind of a spectacle fight. This one's a little bit more interactive. You'll find yourself with a little bit more to do, but just because there's more to jump on and away from him and he's bouncing a little bit more. But yeah, you need to get to the exit on this guy really, really fast and just get through and shut the door behind you. If you want to beat him, you gotta beat Bowzer, and the only way to beat Bowzer is through the door. In the final room of the final castle of the final area, the big man himself, in a throne room of marble made for a princess. Bowzer, to his credit as a king, fights you alone. He stands in his throne room, bereft of anything but the decorations of his glory, and just comes at you with all that he's got, defies you to take the throne from him. Unfortunately, he is in fact a sorcerer, so he is blasting fire, jumping all over the place, and flinging hammers at you like a friggin' madman. But he's not insurmountable. He is all the fundamentals we've learned in all of the other sort of Bowzer-blessed boss fights. Watch your timing, watch the arcs, Don't wait too long. Don't get too comfortable waiting for a pattern from him. Just look for an opportunity and go for it. You can take him. It might take a few tries, but you can do it. It's just really hard because if you lose this fight, you go back a ways and you have to do some of those fights again. And that's very, very difficult, so the pressure can get to you in this last boss fight. It's honestly a really cool way to end the game. There isn't even like a lot of music. Like what's there is kind of, simple. It's not that different from what we've heard the rest of the game. And I just like the environment in general. I think it's cool. I think it's reflective of what we've seen in the other parts of the game, but kind of just different in its own way. Maybe just Bowser's presence there adds something kind of different to it. You do battle, you slay the dragon. You can finally put Princess Peach back on the throne. We don't know very much about Peach, and indeed this portion of the game is basically a cutscene, so we don't really get to learn anymore. There's no dialogue, obviously. But we learn she is just kind of being kept in a room, not in any kind of dungeon, not under lock and key, really just Bowser between you and her. And she's the only one who can turn everyone back, which makes it really inconvenient for Bowser to have kept her alive. I'm suspicious that this is meant to imply that maybe Bowser was trying to coerce her or even steal her magic or like learn how it works to add to his sort of repertoire. Maybe some of her mushroom magic is how he tricked the Goombas to begin with. Or maybe the Goombas taught him some mushroom magic and that's what helped him sneak in and corner the Mushroom Kingdom the way he did. All we know is that she is royal and that she has kingdom-changing magic on the same level that Bowser does. I guess that explains why she's in charge, but it's a pretty crap way to choose your leader if you ask me. If your only qualification to lead is that if you're not in charge you can turn the whole kingdom into something horrible, then you are no way deserving of that authority. You're not qualified. And if you're only in charge because you can unchange people and, reverse some evil Bowser magic like this, then why should you be in charge the rest of the time? Just go live a normal life, and when we need to unchange everybody, we'll ask you. It's no way to run a kingdom if you ask me. And personally, I think there is evidence in game of this, because she got conquered by turtle people. There aren't even that many of them. And I know they used magic, but she used magic too. Did she not know there was a turtle tribe out there? Or the Koopa clan completely unknown? Did she have no way to know they were moving and that they would move against her kingdom? And what did she do about it? I'm just saying magic powers are no basis to choose a leader on. Maybe there's something else about her that automatically qualifies her to govern, but I personally don't put much stock in trusting royalty with their own credentials. Okay, let's take it all the way back to Mario. Why this subject with this subject? I think it's a proof of concept for everything I've been talking about. My art is not the best, it's not the cleanest, it is not the most spectacular, people have better layouts and perspective than me. I know my place in the hierarchy. I'm not redrawing things because I think I'm a better artist than the people who created them. But you're still here, and if you're still here, then there's something that you recognize in this video, and I think that's my point. Even if you think my opinions are trash and my art isn't very good and that I have wasted my time immeasurably by creating this, even if you think all of that is true, I would wager you still do believe that I cared about this. That I cared about this enough to make all of this effort. Maybe I didn't get it right, but this did matter to me enough to create. And that is interesting. Even if your connection to this video is hating it, at least we connected on something, and we connected on something genuine and not manufactured to make you happy or sad or whatever. Even if you hate me, at least the hate's real. Effort is compelling. It's compelling because it's a real story we can connect to. The over story of someone who believed in this enough to toil away and make it a reality. It's sort of a deal. We aren't inclined to work harder than we think a story does. So if we perceive a story as harder working, it's easier for us to feel like it's worth the effort to do so. And if it doesn't feel like it's worth it, what you're feeling is that this media didn't work hard enough for it to be worth you looking any deeper into it. Feels plastic, feels fake, the artifice of art. If you saw my story as lazy or low effort, you would have bailed out within the first 5 minutes. I think these things are linked. I think that over story, the effort, the sort of real story of the person who wants the thing to exist is something our imagination can cling to as reality. I'm not saying it can't be fake. This is always going to be something that is very opinion driven. but I think it is one of the easiest things to see when looking at a piece of media is just how hard the people involved tried. How much did they care to do that they didn't have to do? Even if you don't think that effort was well spent, they still did it. There is a certain bit of respect that goes there. It's the closest thing we have to an objective measuring stick. How hard did the people making this actually try? Even if the story is terrible, the thing, the effort, the process, that is a story and that has value. Because even if the thing they make is complete garbage, it was so important to them that it should be a little bit important to us to know the reason why. If only because we come from the same, culture and time. Encountering and being able to engage with things that might have an emotional impact on you is just a super cool part of being alive. We lose those opportunities when we give up things that might actually really affect us in a deep way for things that make no effort to do so. We might still be affected by those things. We all love franchises that don't love us back. That's very normal. But differentiating that, our attachment, that we put that in and they gave us nothing, compared to somebody who worked hard and really tried and put the effort in and tried to give us something, even if we didn't quite land the handshake, one of those people deserves a lot more reward. If we really believe that effort and reward should go hand in hand, I do. I think that's a pretty decent principle to live by. We should stop rewarding the media that just hangs around and waits for a chance to get paid. The things that you saw when you were young enough to give it your own personal value, that wait around to cash in on that when you're old enough to have confused those memories with something they have brought with you. It's now something they can cash in on even though they brought nothing to the table in the first place. The objective was always to just be around in enough times, in enough places, around enough children for enough of them to form a wholesome bond with it that they did not bring to the table or do anything to deserve. But we all have these things. That's fine. It's just about recognition. That's all I'm advocating for. You can eat trash, just enjoy in moderation. And always be looking for ways to stretch your understanding of the things you engage with. Because some of this stuff just sits in our stomach like rocks until we're able to actually sort of digest it. Once you're able to sort of break it down, you can pull out the yarn from the other analogy and see where it takes you off of your conspiracy board and onto other walls of interests and topics and things, and you know what they are and you understand what they're telling you and the trajectory they go on to a different way of thinking that you can choose to explore or not, like a minotaur in a maze. It's good to get this stuff out of your system. It doesn't mean you don't love it anymore, you don't put it behind you, you sort of sort it all into boxes or whatever analogy is more comfortable for you. You put all of the pieces where they need to go. They're all still there for you. They're all still a part of you. Those experiences are still a part of you. But you can now move on to new things that you can love just as much as that thing you love, which is exactly what I'm going to do with Mario 1987. I'm done with this game. I'm never going to do another project on it. Solid, sorted. I've got all my feelings figured out. This was a great experience. Done and done. Now if I want to work on Mario 3, I have a huge and wide foundation to work on. I've gotten all of these base ideas out of my way. I don't have to think about them the next time I do a project on a game like this. This is all just on lockdown. Job done. Okay, Val from the future here. I just wanted to clarify something that I don't think I was clear enough on right here. One of the reasons I think it is important to digest media is because I think that if we do not sort of finish it off and move past it, we kind of can get stuck on it and it becomes way too big a part of our life. And an accusation I meant to make here is that I think a lot of media franchises that are aimed at us when we are young, the whole purpose of them is to be so broad and to be so open that you can kind of fit anything that you want in there and kind of make them undigestible. It is sort of impossible to move past them because they're not designed to have any emotional conclusion, because they're not designed to ever really let you feel complete. And we know this intuitively. Obviously, the whole point of Pokemon is to always leave you wanting more. There's no argument about that. It's just good to think about it once in a while and just have it on our mind when we consume Pokemon. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying to be mindful. So I guess what I'm saying is when push comes to shove, instead of taking the thing you love and using it as a reason to give people money they don't deserve, Just take that energy and find something personal and creative for yourself to do instead. And it's a way bigger flex on other fans if you're the competitive sort. Damn it, we were right at the end. Okay, one more thing just for fun. You don't need this, but here it is. You know how some people just have like a really genuine love for like movies and stories that border on like unforgivable? That fits really nicely into this analogy, and I just wanted to do it. It's kind of an extreme version of this. When you learn to digest media, if you want to, you can put your spec points into digesting like bad movies, like how some animals like scavenge corpses, or like how pandas can just like eat raw bamboo, or like some apes just eat bark of trees. Like, you learn to survive on things that other people would find no nutrition on. It's an evolutionary instinct, you see. So if you work on it, you could start to derive these really bizarre and fun conversations about directing choices and like specific performances or like visual glitches. People like us are media worms. We eat all this delicious, indistinct grains of dirt media that all blends together into dead mush, and we try to comp it all down into useful takeaways and fun ideas and enthusiasm for the bizarre that other good projects can grow out of. Should have used a bug theme the whole way through. Would have been a way better analogy set, I think. No, that's true. Yeah, no, I think we did good. What? What did you say? Yeah, yes. No, I'll tell them. No, I'm telling them. He says like and subscribe, and he says, shut up, I'm trying to tell them. They'll never know if I don't tell them. I don't know why, he just keeps saying like and subscribe. I don't know why he keeps saying it like that. Rufus would like me to tell you to like and subscribe. And that's all the stuff I thought about while making this video. I know it ended up being kind of a surprise double ride-along. It was a ride-along of my experience playing the game and my experience making this video. I hope that was fun. I hope it was more enjoyable than it was annoying. And if you have any strong feelings about either this subject or my video specifically, do try to express those feelings as clearly as possible with other people in your life. Alright, little sneaky channel update for people hanging around. First off, no idea what to say about the success of the TF2 video. I'm recording this a while after, like 2 months after, and I am still like flabbergasted. I keep expecting it to go away. Like, if I don't look at it, it'll vanish, and I'll find out all those views were fraudulent or something. Feels super weird. I don't know how to like say thank you without coming off kind of weird about it as the like, oh, thank you guy, but like thank you, it's completely real. We got a ton of comments. Like, I have never, even nothing on my channel even remotely close. Like, this channel, I've been in it for the art, and you can tell because for the guts of 10 years I had less than 300 subs. So this is a legitimate blow up by my standards. It's bananas that anything went that well. If this video does even a fraction of that, I'll be completely psyched. What's next? More stuff like this. I have a few other projects that I'm kind of like working on in tandem, and we're gonna see. I want to do them both, but we'll just sort of see how this video lands, and I can put more kind of work into one than the other. I will be cynically cutting all of these drawings into shorts to promote this video, but yeah, I have two kind of obscure games, will be two oddball games that I think would both be really good fits that I want to talk about a lot. So one or the other of them will be what's next. I know that's not really much to go on. I have 3 shout-outs. First, just a big thank you to Spriters Resource. Just thank you to Spriters in general, the people who put the time in to rip sprites from every video game on the planet and make them publicly available to us. That's good, solid, hard work that most of them did for $0, you know. That's just preserving something that we can use as references going forward, you know, keep that little piece of our culture alive. Also a shout out to Satan's News account 4606, who in the last section said, remember me when you reached 1,000 subs, pretty please. I remember. And JD Myers 3197, who commented, I am the 1,000th subscriber. And the timeline adds up. We're gonna take him at his word. Thank you, JD Myers. You were the first toe over the finish line. In the narrow, but in my opinion, very important slice of anthropology that is my life, your click will be immortalized by a giant bronze hand holding a mouse. I don't know what type of mouse yet. We'll see who's willing to sponsor the statue, making that prominent click. It's just like a disembodied hand with a mouse, and it says like JD Myers 3197. Thank you for your sacrifice, with no greater context. Just sitting in like a town square somewhere. Tour guides have to walk by and like pretend they understand it. I see in this culture the symbol of the click was clearly much more important than the people or events that took place around it. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Good night. I love you, but go sleep on the couch. Okay, another cut-in from the future. I just want to highlight some sick comments from the Team Fortress 3 video. So there were some people in the comments on this one that just absolutely understood the assignment. Like, you guys got it. From Fused Nebula. I love the idea that the reason TF3 has a female cast is because most of the men are in the military or overseas. Great point. I don't know if I ever thought about that. I feel like maybe I didn't, but it is a very good tie-in to the time frame we're going for. I'm a dummy for missing it, but great call out. Okay, Zhao Vitor Post 7EB. I think it would be cool if the heavy kind of shows the meter of her primary by laughing, so she begins normal and over time it changes to a more and more crazy laugh. I really like that. I think that's very reminiscent of the heavy we know. It's a good idea, and it's worth consideration if you were making this game. Beast Wars FTW. For the Scout's blunderbuss gun, might I recommend it be something like a single-action shotgun revolver, so you could charge the hammer with one hand at the speed that most shotguns would pump. I think that is actually completely sick McNasty. I think that's amazing. I love the idea of having it, like, gripping it, this one big kind of meaty hand, and shooting, and he could have this big sort of, like, exaggerated animation where he cocks the thing back with his thumb. If you've ever held, like, a big revolver, even like a toy one, that big meaty feeling of like chunk feeling it fall back, that would be really satisfying and like rhythmic to the way you play the Scout. So I think that's awesome. That's probably a better idea than mine. Okay, Primus Avenged with a absolute winner. Here's an idea for the sapper. Throw sand and gears into the crevices of devices, and because it's 1930s mechanical engineering, it starts to lock up and damage itself. Maybe instead of repairing it, the NG's rivet gun has like an air gun that blows it away. Not like an air blast, but like a flow of compressed air. I love everything about this. That's amazing. Just the spy throwing just pocket sand. Thank you, Eggs and Pencils Crisis, for pocket sand. Yeah, that he would just go up and just have like a little satchel full of trash of like nuts and bolts and like just like dirt or whatever that he dumps into it. That would be really cool. It would look very funny. It would make sense that it does continuous damage while he's away from it, and that it can be repaired. You can get him different assemblages of garbage that could be different side unlocks that have different I don't know what you would come up with, but there's an idea there that can sprout out that you can do different types of effects with it by replacing it with different types of trash. It's great. I love everything about it. And just as a top off, I also like the air gun idea. I think it might clash thematically with the air gun that actually moves people. I don't know, maybe you can make it work. It's worth trying because it is super reminiscent of the type of visual character we're doing here, this old-timey like skyscraper riveter type look that we're going for. I feel like a compressed air gun is well within that aesthetic, so if there's a way you could work it in, it would be worth doing if you think you can get away with it. A quick honorable mention to the comment I laughed the hardest on, and it snuck up on me. I scrolled right past it once, and I was like, oh, that's nice. And then the next time when I was going down to collect these comments, I caught this again from Crab4403. It says, I wish I could try like that. And it's like, and you're like, okay. I was like, oh, okay. Whatever, he made a typo, like, who, whatever, no, cool, it's a nice sentiment, I appreciate it, but wait, he's crab 4403, and his picture is a little crab. Maybe it's not a mistake. maybe he's a crab, and he's up here from crab social media circles, where the name crab obviously is very popular. A lot of people have it. Obviously not, 4,403 of them. It would be ridiculous if it was that many, but it's enough that you need 4 digits, to identify yourself cleanly. It's gotten that bad. And, he was just here watching this video about me up in a balcony and was like, God, if only I could be so dry. Clack, clack, clack. Oh, man. I hope I'm not being mean to this guy. Thank you, Crab4403. I'm like trying to laugh. I'm laughing getting through it because I just read it a few minutes ago. So I was laughing for like 5 minutes. Trying to just get it out of my system to say this. This was my best take, so it's what you get. Okay. Sorry, I've still got crab on the brain. All right. So my favorite, the winner that I saw, and I was like, this whole section inspired by, you can all thank Jack Song Green 4107, who says, yeah, these concepts are really fun. For whatever reason, I really feel like your medic would be British. The sense of humor you describe feels very British to me. And your spy would be from New Orleans. And that, boom, slam, dunk, stop the clock, confetti from the ceiling, all the balloons. Jackson Green 4107, will you marry me? You nailed it. The spy should absolutely be from New Orleans. He should have a Creole, French accent. So he is distinctly American and distinctly, French too. It perfectly melds the two elements. And it sort of fits naturally in with his sort of magic whiskey he's got going on. We really just sort of turn a blind eye that it's vaguely magical. We don't say magic. It's 1930s, Brewster alchemy, whatever. But ultimately, it's kind of supernatural. And I think that region, or I guess you could say the way we perceive a character from that region, all the sort of tropes line up. It's such a good idea. It is canon now. I do not just recommend it. Thank you, Jackson Green 4107, that you are now a part of this, because your idea is now a part of this idea.